2005 Honda Odyssey front brake pad replacement and front brake rotor replacement. Seem to be 22 millimeter socket. On the ground. Nuts and bolts will be lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. It's a good idea to collapse the piston, use a screwdriver, stick it in here. Gain a little space between the rotor and the brake pad on the inside. You can pull back then and collapse the piston. This is dual pistons. So we'll try and do it a little more evenly. We'll angle the screwdriver up a little bit. Pull back. Ugh. This will be pushing brake fluid back up into the master cylinder, so you might have some fluid leaking out. Mine was low and I sucked a little out. Just be aware of that. We'll probably have 14 millimeter bolts. We'll undo these. And if everything seems to turn, there may be 19 millimeter, 18 or 19 millimeter wrench will hold this in place. We'll make sure these slide back and forth. Put a little extra lubricant on them. They do move okay though. If you just want to do a brake pad slap, you can do that now. Take the pads out. Put some new ones on and you can be done, but we replace rotors and pads as a set, so we'll be continuing taking this off. $19 millimeter. I'm here all week. Physically. Using the impact driver, it has a Phillips bit available. You put it right on there, and when you strike it with a hammer, it'll actually go in reverse, left to loosen, which will help break it loose. Because it can be very difficult just trying to do it by hand. And that can happen sometimes as well, even with this tool. So we got the two Phillips out. Now we can maybe tap on this with a hammer a little bit, knock it off. Also, 2 holes here for 8mm bolts, 8 by 1.25. You can screw 2 bolts in here and turn them in. It'll force the rotor off is another option. Works pretty well if the hammer doesn't somehow work for you, which it usually does, and not an issue because we're replacing the rotor. We don't have to care too much about damaging it. But if you're going to turn it or machine it and make it smooth, then you should be careful and use the bolts. We have now removed our brake pads, removed our caliper, and removed our rotor. Halfway through our brake job on our 2005 Honda Odyssey front brakes. So we did get new hardware here, so we got the new stuff on here, and we're putting a little lubricant onto the slides, clean them off a little bit with the rag and put it back in, give them a little twist, and that should be good to go. And you can see they slide pretty nice. Got the new rotor on. Got our old pad, new pad, match them up. They look like they're worn out.
Wow.
I think we're doing this customer service. That's what we like.
Are you okay to do it? You need me to have somebody else do it?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Just, we're pretty particular about belts.
Oh yeah, belts and air filters, that's what we call it.
Belts and air filters, yep.
Two cheapest thing on the car. I am not replacing the two cheapest things in the car. It's good, they look good.
Well, they're subjective too.
You told me to. They're all done, actually.
They're still working.
Means they're on the way out. We'll just snug these up.
It's like a driver's side axle. And then like all the days after.
That should be it. Just make sure your hoses aren't twisted or anything like that here. And again, if this inner piece is turning, just go ahead and grab that with an appropriate wrench. And you're done. The lug nuts are probably 80 to 100 foot-pounds. Put them back on in a star pattern like that. Pump the brakes several times before driving it, because the pedal will most likely be a little low. Top off your fluid as necessary. There's usually a minimum and maximum on your master cylinder. All right, putting the wheel back on, and if you're doing any torquing, it's 94 foot-pounds, I believe, for the lug nuts.